You never expect to find something terrifying on Google Maps. Most people use it to check directions or explore places around the world. But sometimes, people discover things they were never meant to see. Today, we're looking at 3 disturbing Google Maps discoveries that left people terrified. Make sure you're not watching this alone. Laura was an urban exploration enthusiast, but she did most of her scouting from her bedroom. She spent hours scanning the vast, untouched forests of the Pacific Northwest on Google Maps, looking for old logging camps or forgotten ruins. One night, she was following a dry creek bed miles away from the nearest town when she saw it. A small gray rectangle nestled deep within the thickest part of the woods. There were no roads, no dirt paths, no driveway. It was a structure completely cut off from the world by miles of dense timber. She was confused. How did they get the materials out there to build it? Driven by curiosity, she grabbed the yellow Street View icon. She didn't expect it to work. There was no road for a Google car. But to her surprise, a tiny blue dot appeared right in front of the house. Someone had been there with a 360-degree camera. She dropped the icon. At first, the screen stayed white, struggling to load the data. Then, with a sudden flicker, the image snapped into focus. It was a small one-story house made of dark, weathered wood. The windows were pitch black, reflecting nothing but the surrounding trees. The front door was heavy and slightly ajar, revealing a sliver of total darkness inside. But it was the figure that made Laura's blood run cold. Standing just inside the shadow of the doorway was a person. They weren't waving or walking. They were standing perfectly still, facing the camera. Their face was a dark blur. Not the digital blur Google uses for privacy, but a natural shadow that obscured every feature. It felt like they were looking directly through the screen, straight at her. Laura checked the capture date at the bottom of the screen. It was recent, barely 2 months old. Shaking, she switched back to the satellite view to see if she could find any other structures nearby. The house was there, a tiny gray dot among the green. But when she hit refresh to try and get a better angle, the map blinked. The gray dot was gone. Confused, she zoomed in and out, checking the coordinates. She was in the exact same spot. But now, there was nothing but trees. The house, the clearing, the structure, everything had vanished. She tried to drag the Street View icon back to the spot, but the blue dot had disappeared too. The data had been wiped in real time. Laura sat in the silence of her room, staring at the empty forest on her screen. She searched the coordinates on other map providers, but they all showed the same thing. Nothing but wilderness. Luckily, she had taken a screenshot before she refreshed. To this day, Laura keeps that file hidden on a hard drive. When she shows it to people, they tell her it's a fake or a clever edit. They tell her Google probably just updated their imagery and the house was torn down. But Laura knows what she saw. She saw a house with no way in and no way out, and a man who was waiting for someone to find him. She hasn't gone back to those coordinates in person. She's too afraid that if she finds the house, she won't be able to refresh her way back to reality. Ryan had a strange habit. Late at night when he couldn't sleep, he would open Google Maps and explore random places around the world. Small towns, empty deserts, forests in the middle of nowhere. He said it felt like traveling without leaving his room. But one night, he found something he really wishes he hadn't. It was around 2:30 in the morning. Ryan was scrolling through satellite images of rural farmland somewhere in the United States. Miles and miles of empty fields. Nothing unusual, just farmland. Then something caught his eye. At first, he thought it was just a shadow, but when he zoomed in, he realized it was a person, standing alone in the middle of a huge empty field. Ryan sat up in his chair. There were no roads nearby, no houses, no tractors, no vehicles, just a single man, standing in the center of the field. And the strange part was, he wasn't walking, he wasn't working, he was just standing there, perfectly still. Ryan zoomed in even closer. The figure looked like a man wearing dark clothes. His arms were by his side, almost like he was waiting for something, or someone. Ryan felt uneasy, but curiosity got the better of him. So he switched to street view. Luckily, there was a small dirt road running along the edge of the farmland. When the street view loaded, Ryan immediately felt a chill run down his spine, because the man was still there, standing in the exact same place. But now, something was different. The man was facing the camera car. Even though he was far away, it looked like he was staring directly at it. Ryan zoomed in on the image, and that's when he noticed something disturbing. The man's face was heavily blurred, far more than a normal Google Maps blur, almost like Google tried to hide something. Ryan checked the date of the image. The street view picture had been taken in 2019. Then he checked the satellite image again. That image was from 2021. Ryan froze. The man was in both images, standing in the exact same spot, 2 years apart, doing the exact same thing, just standing there. Ryan told himself it had to be a coincidence. Maybe it was 2 different people, or maybe the images were taken the same day, but something about it didn't feel right. So he saved the location and closed his laptop. The next day, he decided to check the location again, but when he opened Google Maps, something had changed. The satellite image had been updated. Ryan quickly zoomed back into the field. His heart started pounding. The man was gone. The entire field was completely empty. No person, no shadows, nothing. Just grass. Ryan tried switching back to street view, but the street view option was suddenly gone. The dirt road that had been visible the night before no longer had any images, almost like they had been removed. Ryan never found the man again. But sometimes he still wonders, what was that man doing in the middle of nowhere? And more importantly, how long had he been standing there before the satellite captured him? It started as a game. 4 friends, Mark, Sarah, Leo, and Chloe, were projected Google Earth onto a large TV screen, manually scanning remote coordinates for anything unusual. They were looking at a particularly desolate stretch of the Sahara, hundreds of miles from the nearest oasis or caravan route. As Leo zoomed in on a cluster of dark shapes, the pixels sharpened. It wasn't just rocks. The stones were jagged, black basalt, and they had been intentionally dragged across the pale sand to form massive, blocky letters. The message was unmistakable. Help me. The room went dead quiet. They used the measurement tool on the app. Each letter was nearly 20 feet tall. This wasn't a prank by a bored hiker. This was a massive physical undertaking in 120-degree heat. Sarah, the most tech-savvy of the group, opened the historical imagery tool. She scrolled back through the satellite archives. 2017. The message was there. 2016. The message was there. 2015. The message was there. The help me had been sitting in the sun, visible to every satellite passing overhead, for at least 1,000 days. No one had noticed. They spent the night debating what to do. Should they call the embassy? The Red Cross? They decided to wait until morning to get a better screen grab of the exact coordinates. 21.4922 degrees north, 17.5210 degrees east, to send to the authorities. The next morning, Mark opened his laptop and refreshed the page. He gasped. The desert was empty. The cluster of black rocks was gone. The sand was perfectly smooth, with no trace of the letters or even the tracks of the person who might have moved them. Google Earth had updated its satellite layer overnight, in a region that usually only gets updated once every few years. A fresh image had been pushed to the public servers in less than 12 hours. Frantic, the friends compared their original screenshot from the night before to the new, empty desert. That's when Leo noticed something that made his stomach drop. In the new image, the one that was supposedly empty, there was a single tiny black speck about half a mile away from where the letters used to be. When they zoomed in to the maximum limit, the shape became clear. It was a late model white Land Rover. It hadn't been there the night before. The realization hit them. The message wasn't gone because the person was saved. It was gone because someone had seen them looking. Someone with the power to update satellite imagery had gone out there to clean up the site. To this day, the group hasn't shared the coordinates publicly. They're afraid that if the help me was erased from the digital world, whoever wrote it might have been erased from the real world too. Google Maps has captured millions of places around the world, but sometimes it captures things that were never meant to be seen. And the scariest part is, we may never know what really happened in those locations.